Hi, this is Javid Kiani from the Internet Vector. You may have seen my previous video on how to do a Rubik's Cube. In this video I'm going to show you basically I'm going to show you several patterns on the Rubik's Cube, and the reason I'm doing this is because firstly, when you're trying to do the Rubik's Cube you do come across several patterns, and if you do recognise these patterns you'll know exactly how to basically jiggle them about so that the cube gets done much more quicker than otherwise. Second reason is because it's a great party trick, especially if you know a few patterns. You can put the cube into a pattern and basically pass the cube around to somebody else and see if they can produce the full sequence again. So let me show you these patterns in no particular order. I'm just going to focus in onto the cube a bit more so you can see exactly what I'm doing. The first pattern is where I'm going to change the colour of the middle face in each of the faces, and this is very easy to do. You just basically do as I'm showing you here. And then you just basically make that colour again, and what you'll notice is that each of the faces has a different centerpiece. I'm just going to put it back into basically I'm just going to do the cube again very quickly and I'll show you another pattern. This is probably one of the easiest patterns you can do on a Rubik's Cube. I'm just going to basically put it back to where it was before, and I'm going to show you another pattern. Again, this is a similar pattern. I'm going to change the circular face of 4 of the faces and leave 2 as complete colours. So in order to do this, here's what you need to do. Just watch exactly what I'm doing. This time you perform 2 moves here. And here you have it. So now I have one complete face on that side and one complete face on the opposite side. However, there are 4 faces where I've changed the middle colour. In fact, the middle colour represents the colour on the opposite face of any particular face. So the green there is the opposite colour, and again the same with orange. Red is the colour on the opposite side of the orange face. Again, another very simple pattern that you should learn because it could come quite useful. So I'm just going to do the cube again and show you another pattern. Right, complete cube. Now this is another very simple pattern. It's a checkered pattern, and again very easy to do. Just if you make 2 moves in basically lateral directions on all the faces, what you'll notice is that you will have a checkered pattern on each face of the cube. Again, a very simple method that you can learn quite quickly. So I'm just going to pull the cube back to how it was before. Actually forgot what I was doing there for a second, but there you go. Got the cube done. Now, just going to show you another pattern. This time I'm going to just focus on 2 faces. So let's say yellow and white for the sake of argument. Again, just watch very carefully what I'm doing. 1, 2, 1, 2. If you do 2 moves in sequence, it doesn't matter how many times you do this to whatever face you do it on, you will never actually mix the cube. Just by doing those moves there, you'll notice I've made this pattern here and a pattern on the opposite face. All the other faces are done. Just to make it a little bit more exciting, I can use the same face and do exactly the same moves again, as I did before, and I've made a checkered pattern on two opposite faces. So a checkered pattern here on the white face and a checkered pattern here on the yellow face, and all the other colours are complete. I'm just going to pull it back to how it was before. Now the reason I'm showing you these patterns, as I mentioned before, is because they are very useful, especially when you're doing the cube, because you'll recognise these patterns as you're doing the cube, and by knowing these patterns you'll find that you're able to do the cube much quicker than otherwise. I'm just going to show you another very quick pattern. Again, just watch what I'm doing. I'm just making two moves at a time so as not to mix the cube. In fact, I think I'm okay, yeah. And I've actually made a H pattern on, again, two opposite faces. So you've got the H here, and on the opposite face there's another H, and all the other sides are done. Now I can also create a H across here as well, again by doing the same move to create the checkered pattern you saw before. So again, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. I'm just doing two moves at a time, doing the same moves over and over again, and what you'll see here is the checkered pattern on that face and a checkered pattern on that face, and all the other faces are complete. Now to get out of this checkered pattern is very easy. You just do two moves and then two again as you rotate the cube, and you keep doing this until you've actually completed the cube. And there we have it, the complete cube. Now the final pattern I'm going to show you is probably the most complex, and it's a great party trick because I don't know very many people that can get out of this pattern. So here goes. This is the only pattern that involves just a single move rather than double moves every time you're creating the pattern. So here's the pattern. Bring one face down and the opposite face goes in the opposite direction, and you turn the top face. So you turn the cube round, and the same again. Turn the cube round, same again. Same again. Same again. And again. And what you've done here is create a nice diagonal pattern which follows basically the cube round. So on four faces you have this diagonal pattern, and on two faces you have a complete face. So this pattern is probably one of the more complex patterns, but again, as I stated before, knowing these patterns does help you do the cube, which is why I'm showing them to you. And secondly, they really are a great party trick to basically confuse other people on. I'm just going to do the cube back to how it was before. You basically doing the same movements again in the opposite direction, and there you have it, the complete cube. This is Checkered Pattern from the Internet Factor. I hope you enjoyed those patterns and can now confuse the hell out of your friends at parties, and can also possibly do the cube faster than otherwise. So Checkered Pattern from the Internet Factor, I'll speak to you soon.